Hello, welcome back to Let's Play Shadowrun Dragonfall, where I am redoing a little bit of this storyline, because, as I said, while I can tolerate my mess-ups on the storyline before this, and I can tolerate my mess-ups on the one with the Dwarf Rigger, this storyline with the cult will bug me if I don't get the story satisfactory to my condition, and I won't have fun with the game. On the other hand, if I get it right, I will absolutely. It'll be very. I'll be fairly well satisfied, even though I had to reload a couple times to get it done right. Yeah, it's a little bit cheesy, but the entire point of games is to have fun. Some people are more in it for the story. I'm more in it for the story. Um, Difficulty is interesting sometimes here and there, but more or less I'm interested for the story. I'm a choose-your-own-adventure type person. Here we go. Actually, what I did when I was a kid, I would find the end that I wanted. I would find the endings of different stories, and then I would track down which choices led to that ending. This is after I had a couple different endings, though. I would go through it a couple times. Anyway, Harrow's manifesto lies in its cradle, still open to the page that you were looking at when you walked away. Leaf through the beginning of the manifesto. You flip through the early pages of the manifesto, find what looks to be a good place to jump in and start to read. When I first set out on the path to free living, I realized that I'd have to rethink all of my earlier assumptions about life. I'd have to question my own values and beliefs, and I'd need the strength to trust in the answers that came to me. The prospect was daunting, but it was also necessary. The road to true freedom is paved with unanswered questions. After all, you can't learn to be free from a book. The answers won't come from a Bible, an instruction manual, or a code of conduct. If you don't learn that, you'll never break your chains. The path to true freedom is one that each of us must walk on his or her own. What makes life worth living? What in life is truly valuable? What is the dross that can be burned away? I spent weeks dissecting every aspect of my life to find the answers to these questions. Slowly, agonizingly, I pared down the list until only 4 items remained. These 4 items became the cornerstones of my new philosophy, and the basis for everything that Fierstel stands for. Love, the first cornerstone and the most important. Without love, life is bland and meaningless. Without love, we might as well be machines. Love what you do, love the people around you, but above all, love yourself. Self-determination, second cornerstone. Each of us must be his or her own shepherd. No more gods and no more kings. Your life is your own. Lash out against anyone or anything that tries to treat you like property. An assault on your freedom is an assault on your whole being. It must be met with an equally ferocious response. Charity, the third cornerstone. A measurely life is an empty life. If each of us is his or her own master, then nobody should live as a serf. By helping others along the path to enlightenment, so do we enrich our own lives. Passion, the final cornerstone. Complacency is poison. Be wary of it. Ambition is the key to fulfilling the life. Don't settle for what is. If you do, abandon what could be. Leave the journal alone. Save. The warnings about uneasy feelings are not coming, strangely enough. This still feels like a trap. Continue reading. Leafing through the middle of the book, you find a section dedicated to Harrow's rules of living. Be free in all things. Experience that freedom with your whole being, body, mind, and spirit. Discard the oppressive traditions of modesty and shame that you've been indoctrinated with since birth. The free thinker has no use for them. Your body is a source of pride, of pleasure, and of succor. For yourself and for others, enjoy it and share that joy freely with those who desire it. Be selfish. Don't enslave yourself to others at the expense of your own happiness. Take what you want, and do so unashamedly. Our desires are an important part of what makes us human. Society has trained us to hide that part of ourselves away from the world, but the free living person doesn't cower in the shadows. Own your own desires and rejoice in them. Selfishness is ultimately dishonest. Selflessness is ultimately dishonest, and dishonesty has no place in a free society. Show reverence. The free living person understands that only true governance in this world is the law of nature, and that in nature there is a hierarchy. The rabbit doesn't question the wolf. The mouse does not wonder why it must run from the cat. They do because they must. Their survival depends on it. As it is in nature, so it is in fair stealth. Know your place in the food chain and understand the mechanisms by which you can better yourself. Okay, you leaf forward and find there is at least 20 more pages worth of rules. Each is worded vaguely enough to have multiple interpretations. Leave the journal alone. That is how a lot of these cults and things operate. And when you find things with the devil or Satanist or whatever in fiction, they often take this track. Now, a lot of the stuff in there is common sense, and that's how you cult kind of lures people in. I mean, really, there is no particular worry about enjoying the physical body or anything like that. The source of Judeo-Christian dislike for it goes back to some early parts of the church. It doesn't really have a place. It doesn't really sex or whatever. Okay, I'm going to stop. Stop. I get too easily on the religious track. I apologize. Let's get back to the game. Harold's manifesto lies in its cradle, still open to the page that you were looking at when you walked away. The final page of the manifesto devolve into semi-cohesive rants about anarchy, social Darwinism, free love, and the horned god. You've seen this kind of thing before. Harold's philosophy is collapsing under its own weight. Unfortunately, none of the cultists seem to have caught on to this fact. Glory lets out a startled cry. Cutting your sentence short, out of the corner of your eye you see her wheel to face something behind you. All at once, the room fills with a slaughterhouse smell, a smell like blood and bile, and stench of an abattoir. As you turn, you catch sight of something sliding into the world. It looks like a charred man with a pair of tortured faces where its shoulders to be. The thing burns like a Roman candle. White-hot sparks in a fiery plume, spinning white-hot sparks in a fiery plume. An oily substance runs down between its dangling legs and spatters onto the floor, and where those drips land, they burn. Whatevs, look out! You missed. Yeah, the shallow parts of these kind of philosophies, they're common. They make sense. They have the gist of common sense. Things that sound harmless and uplifting. It's what's underneath. It hides what's underneath. That is the dangerous part. If they were really true to a lot of what they said on the upscale, you are now marked. And I missed. Of course I missed. Oh. Adrenal pump. I'd end up not having to need the adrenal injection a lot. Better to have and not need than need and not have, I guess. Let's eviscerate you too. Mark again. The body of the thing that attacked you begins to dissolve at the moment of death. As you watch, its tissues break down into a glowing slick of bubbling pitch and rendered fat. What the hell was that? Something from another place. Glory stares at the remains of the creature, now a dark stain on the library's floorboards. Like I said, outside. The boundaries between the physical world and the astral space are weak here. Things can come through. I think a headless abomination just pissed lighter fluid onto the floor and tried to burn us to death. I think the thing that things can come through is an underselling it a bit. I think we've got everything for the book that we're going to. Let's get the hell out of here. We need to keep moving anyway. Okay, so not as much of a trap as I feared, but it was a little bit of a trap. The only useful stuff is in the first two sections. We are going to save here. Fights are generally pointless unless, it's directly part of the mission. The initiate closest to the door whips his head up to look at you. He takes a stutter step back in alarm, then opens his mouth to cry for help. You don't want to do that. We are not here to hurt you. Do you really? Let's try this. We're friends of Haro's. Don't bother calling Marta out here. We're just going in there to have a word with her. Uh, yeah, okay, you do that. He eyes you nervously. His gaze flits to Glory, then falls to her cyber lips. He swallows. Female initiates. The initiate by the door is staring at Glory's limbs, her eyes wide. She's a mousy little thing, probably somewhere in the vicinity of 17 years old, with purple contact lenses and a shock of blue hair. She glances up at Glory, blinking. You used to live here, didn't you? I've seen your picture before. Glory's expression remains neutral. Really? I think so. I didn't look at it long. It was in a room I wasn't supposed to be in, but I'm pretty sure that it was you. It probably was. You're right. I did live here a long time ago. I was like you back then, a scared kid brought here by Marta for a chance at a new life. I like Marta. She's so nice. I always... Knife. That was a nice slip of the tongue. She's so nice. I always feel safe when I'm with her. Most adults aren't like that. They either don't notice you or they do for the wrong reasons. But Marta, she cares about us. There's a long pause, then the initiate looks to you. Screwing up her courage, she speaks. Can I ask you a question? Go ahead. Ask away. Well, I overheard Marta talking with Mr. Haro yesterday. I think they were talking about our meeting with him. The one Marta was just telling us about. Where we'll learn to see the world in a different way. Go on. Well, I couldn't really hear the whole conversation. It was all muffled, but what I could hear was kind of weird. Mr. Haro said some stuff about a shrine, and then it sounded like he changed the subject because he started talking about dinner. Something about chopping up meat. When Marta got real upset, she said, they're too new. They're not ready. Make the older ones do it. Stuff like that. But then Haro said some other things, and then she calmed down again. When she left, she was smiling. And so I was wondering, do you know what they were talking about? I want to make sure that Marta is okay, but I can't ask her about it because I don't want her to find out that I was eavesdropping. I think that I know what Haro has planned for you. Have you ever opened the fridge in the other room? No, why? Is that where they're going to make dinner? Glory cuts in. Her voice is gentle. I wouldn't worry about it. We'll make sure that Marta is okay. All right, but don't tell her I told you, please. Don't worry. We won't. How long have you been here, by the way? Almost a week. She shuffles her feet. Eventually, she looks up with a small smile. It's wonderful. Of course it is. So much nicer than living on the street, isn't it? Glory's face is kind, but her tone is one of incredible sorrow. You be good, sweetie. Don't worry. We'll take care of Marta. The girl smiles sheepishly and steps back. As you pass by her on your way to the door, Glory shoots you a sidelong glance. It's like I thought. Things have changed in the past few years. How so? Back when I lived here, Haro would never have let such a fresh convert prepare a sacrifice. He'd wait until she was in so deep, until she felt so indebted to him that she couldn't turn tail and run. It was a rule. You let newcomers get settled for a month, maybe two, before teaching them the more unsavory aspects of cult life. Even then, you'd start them off slow. Their first lessons would use pork or chicken, never human meat. That didn't come until much later. Indoctrinating a new recruit after a week is risky as hell, and he would have never done it. Never would have done it when I lived here. The shrine. He's using it to brainwash the initiates faster than he used to. That's what I'm thinking. Haro's getting lazy, letting his captive spirit do the heavy lifting for him. So what does this mean for us? I'm still working on that, but I don't think the shrine is just a tool for Haro anymore. I think that he relies on it. He's using it as a crutch. She cocks her head slightly, a thoughtful expression on her face. I think that he's let himself become dependent on the damned thing. The girl's never going to have to do what we saw back in the kitchen. We won't let that happen. She nods, a fierce look in her eye. On that we are agreed. Okay, glad I talked to the girl there. Marta's just on the other side of this door. However this goes, we're going to have to move quickly afterward. If she dies... Well, I've read this before, and that recording is still there. At this point, I have gone back, and I think I'm as well armed for this conversation as possible. So, here we go. This is the same conversation. The woman in this room is lovely. Full lips contrast artfully with her fine, elvish figure. She looks up with a start at the sound of your approach. Her eyes go wide at the sight of Glory as she takes in her cyberware. Her mouth falls open in horror. Glory? Yes, Mata, it's me. It's been a long time. It has. Glory, what have you done to yourself? What I had to do. I got out, Mata. That was the only way. Glory, I'm so sorry. She steps forward in a hug, her arms extended to wrap Glory up. Once, something in Glory's face changes. Her skin goes from pale to pallid, and her breath becomes ragged. She takes a step back and raises her claws into a defensive position. Don't you touch me. You're one of Harrow's creatures. You always were. Keep your cool. One of his creatures, Glory. What are you talking about? Keep your cool, Glory. This isn't like you. Look at me, whatevs. Take a good long look. I was forced to sacrifice my own body in order to escape from this place, to hack away what made me human, and she's the one who brought me here. Maybe so, but at the end of the day, it was your own decision to come here. Nobody held a gun to your head. She grinds her teeth but says nothing. Eventually she nods. You're right, of course. It was my choice. But that doesn't change what she is or what she did to me. If she hadn't found me, hadn't baited me here, none of this would have happened. None of what? I haven't done anything. If you just left me where you found me, I never would have hurt anybody. My mother would still be alive. Same. Harrow and I rescued you from a life on the street. I saved you. I don't feel much anymore, Mata. Most of the time, I'm completely numb. But for you, I can make an exception. I hate you. I'm sorry you feel that way, Glory. For my part, I still love you. Another lie. The last one you'll ever tell. I think we should hear her out. Something strange is happening here. I'll prove it to you. Ask me anything you want. I'll show you that I'm telling the truth. I never wanted anything bad to happen to you, Glory. Not ever. Why are you listening to her? She's just telling you what you want to hear. That's her whole purpose here, remember? She's bait. Why should we listen to anything she has to say? The cultists aren't responsible for their actions, saying things before. She was here long before I was. She made her own decision, just like I did. She brought me here because she wanted. That may have been true then, but she's been living under the Shrine's influence for a long time now. Maybe she's being compelled to lie to us. I'll accept that. It doesn't mean that we should trust her. I didn't turn my back on you, Glory. You shouldn't turn your back on her. All right, Mata, convince me. Convince you of what? That I'm not a monster? I don't know how to do that, Glory. You can start by telling me how you sleep at night. How do you live with yourself? Explain it to me. If cognitive dissonance had a face, it would be hers. Confused, frightened, angry, at war of herself. For a moment she struggles to speak. Then the whispering sensation you felt outside the compound comes back and her face changes. Why are you asking me this, Glory? You already know the answers. The kids here aren't being hurt. They're just walking the path to a free and pure life, just like Harrow taught us. The shine's whispering to her, Glory. I can feel it too. She's blissed out on it, like you said. Harrow is a great man. A prophet. True sacrifices have to be made. Yeah, you're right. After so many years living here, I don't know if she even knows what normal feels like anymore. Marta, if what you're saying is true, if you ever really did care for me, then please give me your key. It's important. Key? Whatever you use to get past the wards outside of Harrow's Shrine, I need it. Don't ask why, just do this for me. You owe me that much. No, Harrow said that I had to guard this. He told me that I could never take it off. I can't question one of Harrow's orders. It would be wrong. You questioned him about what he's planning on doing with those initiates back there. Was that wrong? That's different. She blinks, then that whispering sound returns, soft and insistent, and the flicker of unease on her face is replaced with an easy smile. You wouldn't understand. Then maybe you could explain it to me. Maybe if you could answer my questions, I'd be able to see the light. Yes, please, go on, ask your questions, and I'll explain everything. You'll see for yourself how perfect and right our way really is, how beautiful it could be. I've read Harrow's manifesto. Looks like he spends a long time talking about charity. Yes, of course, charity, the kind I practice when I rescue young people from the streets. But then in his rules of living, he says that all free thinkers are supposed to be selfish. Yes, but... And after that, he says that only the strong deserve to prosper. And this is where you run across things. So, which is it? Marta blinks. She looks momentarily confused. Then you can see the conviction clamp down, back down. Blah, 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 blah. You can see the conviction clamp back down behind her eyes. You just don't understand the beauty of his message, the truth behind it. Harrow is hurting the runaways that you bring here. You can see that, can't you? Harding, how so? He's going to make the initiates, the young initiates, like the girl in the next room, do something horrible. That girl is such a sweet young thing. I rescued her from a bad place, Glory. Her and the boys in that dorm as well, but they're all safe now, and isn't that what's important? Are they? You know what I'm talking about, Marta. The harvesting, the meat. Confusion washes over her face again. She begins blinking agitatedly and fidgeting. Then that unseen force clamps down again, and she seems calm. She seems to calm. It's regrettable, but it happens for good reason. The sacrifices keep us safe here, and safety is something that a lot of these kids have never known. The initiates have to learn how things are done here. Harold told us so. That's what it all boils to, doesn't it? It has to be this way because he says it does. He's a great man. He would never hurt us. Whatever you say, they're taking everything out of context. You don't understand. He's corrupting you all. How many of them has he taken as wives, yourself included? She rolled his eyes at you. Lesson in Puritan values from Shadowrunner? How quaint. I'm not making a value judgment, just an observation. Sex is a pleasurable function of biology. There's nothing wrong with enjoying it. Harrow is only doing what everyone would do if they could. It's a sign of how twisted society is that you think this is even a problem. Something else I want to ask you about. Harrow is evil, you get that, right? I mean, he worships the devil. What else do you need? I don't know what Glory that told you, but the adversary isn't the devil. Calling him that, reducing him to a cartoonish embodiment of evil, is an insult. The adversary that I reveal is the personification of rebellion, conflict, and change, of anarchy. The fact that you live in Berlin and hold the adversary in contempt proves one of two things. Either you're ignorant or you're a hypocrite. From what I've seen here tonight, Glory was right on the mark when she said the adversary was evil. If anyone here is ignorant, it's you. Harrow warned us about this kind of backward thinking, but I wasn't expecting to hear it from you. I always assumed that you Shadowrunners were savvy enough to know that good and evil don't exist. 9 times out of 10 I'd agree with you, but Marta, the adversary, is a special case. Somewhere deep down you must know that. I don't have to believe anything you tell me. You don't get to dictate my spiritual beliefs. The fact that you're even trying is sad, Gloria. I expected more from you. I'm done with this. If you want to go on slandering the idol that I serve, do it somewhere else. As for you, you can either change the subject or you can get ready for a fight. I don't want to hear any more of your blasphemy. I guess I need the academic to win this out. Give us the amulet, Marta. It's the right thing to give us the amulet, Marta. It's the right thing to do. I don't know if you expected any of that to mean anything, but it doesn't. None of it matters. She fishes the amulet out of her blouse. It dangles on a golden chain. If you want this, you're going to have to kill me for it. Glory shifts into an attack posture. When she speaks, her voice is unsteady. I'm sorry that it came to this, Marta, but you're too far gone to save. If what you want is a fight, I'll give you one. I didn't want this, Glory. I wish that we could have come out of this friends, but you haven't convinced me of anything, and I made a promise to protect this with my life. Best of luck with that. I won't need luck, outsider. Harold, my husband, taught me how. She stares at Glory and her eyes are sad. She raises her hands and they begin to glow. See for yourself. Okay. This don't have much problem with as a story. It's a sad story. It's not the way I would have preferred it to go, but it's not going to give me problems. It's not going to make the game less fun for me. And I wanted to do that first. But oh well. You aren't armed with what you need to beat us. Okay. Sorry, Marta. Glory stands staring at the red ruin of Marta's body. Her eyes split down to her claws. An expression of growing horror creeps across her face. You okay, Glory? It takes her a long time to respond. Her voice is choked, long dormant emotion. No, I'm not. That's a different answer than the last time I killed her. Actually, it might be the same. I'm sorry, but it had to be done. Yes, I know. Snarls out answer, her face is flushed red. She was just as bad as Harrow. Killing her was the right thing to do. To your astonishment, you see their eyes are welling with tears. Glory? Save the consolation speech. I'm over it. Her voice is frigid, dead. All at once, blood drains from her cheeks, wipes water from her eyes and cold metal hand. We got what we came here for. Let's go finish this. Okay. Let's see what you say. You monster! You killed Marta! It couldn't be helped. How I was going to get you, you'll see. It really don't think it could have been helped. I may have been able to get past that with the academic. But yeah, he had a lot of contradictory information. He didn't really think through his philosophy that much. It was not a legitimate philosophy. It was just a thing he put together that sounded good to get people to listen to him. Anyway, my timer did go off, so I'm going to go to a new video. See you in a little bit.